So President Trump is now facing bipartisan backlash for his plans to accept that luxury jet as a gift from the Qatari royal family. In a rare public break from the Trump administration, some of Trump's most vocal and loyal supporters in right-wing media are also now criticizing him, calling this move a stain on his administration even. CNN's Brian Stelter is tracking this one for us. And Brian, what are you seeing?
This is the biggest break that I've seen in the first 4 months of Trump's return to office between his pro-Trump propaganda machine, those pro-Trump stars that are always supporting him, and the president. This is a dramatic break, not among every single MAGA media star out there, but among many of them. It's one thing for Democratic lawmakers to be calling this profoundly unethical and possibly illegal. We've heard a lot of that. But some MAGA media commentators are saying the same things. In the past 24 hours, we've heard prominent pro-Trump media stars call this plan to accept a jet from Qatar to use as Air Force One a, quote, bribe, a grift, and a stain on the administration. And this is even coming from figures like Laura Loomer, the far-right provocateur, who has a direct line to Trump. I mean, these are people who are usually steadfast supporters of the president, but in this case, they're speaking out against the deal. Let me show you two examples. One is from Ben Shapiro, who co-founded the Daily Wire. He's a prominent podcaster. The other is Eric Erickson, the radio talk show host.
That's not America first. Like, please define America first in a way that says you should take sacks of cash from the Qatari royals who are behind Al Jazeera. It just isn't America first in any conceivable way. If you want President Trump to succeed, this kind of skeezy stuff needs to stop.
My problem with taking this plane from Qatar is I do not think the President of the United States of America should sit and fly on a plane purchased with the same money used to murder American citizens.
As you hear there, a lot of the criticism centers on Qatar, which has been a home for Hamas leaders for a number of years, though the country reportedly kicked out those Hamas officials back last November, right after Trump won the election. So a lot of the criticism is about Qatar and about what Qatar's trying to get from President Trump. Some of the other commentators are focusing on the optics of this, the appearance of conflict. Ben Shapiro, for example, was saying to his viewers yesterday, what if the Bidens did this? What if it was Hunter or Joe Biden? And trying to say this is hypocritical and trying to take a principled stand. You know, since we're talking about an airplane, here's an airplane reference, right? There's different wings of right-wing media. There's different cabins on this plane. There are conservative outlets like National Review that support lots of parts of Trump's agenda, but are often critical of the man himself. So National Review is out with an editorial this morning calling this a poison plane, saying this gifted 747 is ethically suspect and made worse by the fact that Qatar is no friend of the U.S. That's National Review. But even figures who are very closely aligned with the president, I mentioned Laura Loomer. She has been outspoken on X, on the social media platform, in the last 2 days, almost trying to get Trump's attention, trying to get him to change his mind. What I have not seen a lot of, though, is a lot of television coverage of this on Fox News. So if the president is watching Fox on his trip abroad, he's not hearing a lot of this criticism, but it is definitely prominent all across right-wing social media and the podcasting realm, Kate.
So, I mean, who is speaking out supporting? Who is speaking out defending the president's move here?
Right, that's the other interesting thing about this. I'm talking all about the condemnations. There's not a lot of defense. There's not a lot of support out there. You're not seeing lots of editorial writers or columnists on the right who are defending this proposed jet gift. Instead, those figures are just ignoring this, trying to pretend like it's not happening. And of course, we don't know for sure if it will happen. Qatar has pushed back on some of the reports, and the White House says this is still under review. So it's quite possible this deal could fall apart over time. However, we know the president really does want a new version of Air Force One. He's been very loud and outspoken about this. And yesterday he said you'd be stupid not to take a free gift. So I've seen some right-wing media outlets just amplifying that Trump message and blaming the media. But what's notable here is that there's mostly just an ignoring sort of a reaction going on, trying to pretend this isn't happening. So you either have a lot of criticism from the right or you have folks trying to pretend that it's not going to happen at all. But figures like Eric Erickson, who you heard from a moment ago, Eric Erickson thinks this could end up getting Trump in legal trouble going down the road. So there are figures who are supportive of the president, who want him to succeed, but they think this is actually going to hurt him, and that's why you're hearing so much criticism.
Interesting. Brian, thank you so much. It's good to see you.
President Trump is getting an extravagant royal welcome in Saudi Arabia, and blurring the lines, critics say, between his public office and private business. This is the first stop in his major Middle East swing. He will also visit Qatar and the UAE, three countries that have done business with the Trump organization. And Qatar is now offering to give the Trump administration a $400 million luxury jet to possibly use as Air Force One. As gift goes, it's a pretty lavish one, and it raises all kinds of ethical and security questions. With us now is John Bolton, President Trump's former national security advisor and a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Ambassador, always great to see you. Just very quickly on the gift of this jet, what's your opinion on the optics of it?
Well, I don't think the optics are good when you have people in Trump's camp like Rand Paul and Laura Loomer both saying they think it's a bad idea. That ought to say something about the potential political blowback that he'll face even from MAGA Republicans. I think the major objection here is the security objection. We don't know what has happened to that plane. We don't know who's had access to it. And if they really wanted to bring it up to Air Force One standards, it would require significant overhaul for all kinds of reasons. I mean, just start with aerial refueling, which obviously Air Force One can do. It has special fuel tanks. Most normal 747s don't have an aerial refueling capability. And that doesn't even deal with the question of communications, secure communications the president needs, air defense systems it needs, and all the other things that go for Air Force One. I think many people don't realize the current Air Force Ones are flying offices. They're not flying palaces. It's designed to be a working space for the president and his staff. And that, I don't think, is what this particular flying palace he's looking at is. So it would be a complete redo of the airplane if he wanted it.
The president saying he plans to use the newer, some $400 million Boeing 747 plane to replace an aging Air Force One. The idea of that gift, though, is raising not only ethical and legal questions, it's also inspiring backlash from U.S. lawmakers, including some of those most loyal to the president, some in his own party. CNN's Tom Foreman has more.
The possibility of a $400 million gift jet from Qatar to serve as President Trump's new Air Force One is drawing lightning strikes of criticism. Trump's latest grift. It's not just bribery, it's premium foreign influence with extra legroom. And from the vice chair of the Senate Ethics Committee,
this is almost exactly the sort of gift that our founders had in mind that Americans shouldn't accept. And I'll remind you, other federal employees can't accept even $50.
The plane would appear to fly in the face of the U.S. Constitution's emoluments clause, which says no person holding any office shall, without the consent of Congress, accept of any present of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Ask about that, Trump hit back.
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense.
Analysts say the gift plane would likely have to be entirely stripped down and rebuilt to make sure it does not hold technology detrimental to presidential security. After all, Qatar has long ties to Hamas, a terrorist group in the eyes of the U.S. government.
The nation of Qatar, unfortunately, has historically been a funder of terrorism at a very high level.
Why is the United States of America accepting a gift of this magnitude from a foreign government that supported terrorist organizations?
In his first term, Trump hit upon the idea of revamping Air Force One, upgrading it, changing the color.
You know what colors we're using? Take a guess.
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue.
He became frustrated by the long, expensive process of doing all that. But now, Qatar has offered him a quick fix, and he's on board.
I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
The president saying this is a gift to the Pentagon, not to him, doesn't necessarily hold water either, because the emoluments clause basically says you can't give a gift like this to an elected official or anybody who works for him, which would include the folks at the Pentagon. So even though the president may want to treat this like it's no big deal, it is a big deal and likely to stay that way until it's settled. Tom Foreman, CNN, Washington.